fight or flight is a fundamental, evolutionary reaction in humans, the yin and yang between engaging or retreating for survival. It's an absolutely terrifying, split-second advantage we all have. What is more frightening, though, is when you get stuck between the two options, unable to choose, and are rendered motionless. I grew up in the small town of Belmont, West Virginia. When it was settled, the town had one main profession: coal mining. As decades passed, resources in the area dwindled and other job opportunities grew, so the town eventually closed its mines. My entire high school knew about the abandoned mines. Word wasn't hard to get around in a school of only 125 students. The mines were our go-to place to drink or smoke. We'd bring a flashlight or lanterns, a couple of bottles of booze and a spliff, and would spend a couple hours in the dark away from parents and the rest of the world. My little friend group was composed of myself, Patrick, and Anna. We didn't have any other friends in that town, but that was okay. We had each other, and that was all we needed. The last time any of us stepped foot in one of those mines was October 4th, 2002. I've never recounted the events in writing or spoken to anyone about it earnestly. This following is a retelling of what transpired that night. It was a Friday. We'd gotten out of school with a plan to meet up at our usual mine entrance later in the evening. I told my parents I was going to Patrick's, he told his parents he was going to Anna's, and so on. You know how it goes. I remember it being a warm day, but as the sun set, so did the heat, and a frigid blanket had laid itself over our town. I finished up eating with my parents and headed out. It only took me about 30 minutes to walk to our meetup spot from my house. I went straight out of town, down the main road, then cut off through a small patch of forest and trudged my way down the large quarry surrounded by small mountains, or large hills, depending on how you want to look at it. That's where most of the mine's entrances were. As I approached, I could see Patrick and Anna both seated on the dirt outside of the entrance, and sitting next to them was a large case of Miller Lite. Tastes like piss, gets you pissed, is cheap as piss. Anna's blonde hair looked almost white as the sun faded under the horizon. She was the smart one of the group. Everyone else would call her a quiet girl, but that's just because others didn't know her like I did. Patrick, on the other hand, was part-time class clown and struggled to get above a C in any subject at school. "Well, well, well, about time you showed up," Anna said as she stood. "I know, sorry. Dinner was later than I expected." "Likely story," Patrick teased. "Well, were y'all waiting for me? Let's go in." "We're gonna have to go to a different one," Anna said. "Oh? Why?" "Billy and his idiot friends are already in there, and they're refusing to leave." "That's bullshit. They know this is the one we always go to." Ugh. "Okay. Where's the next closest?" "Not too far. A football field or two that way, I think." Anna extended her pointing hand. Patrick grabbed the beer, and I carried his flashlight for him. The soft blue light of dusk was retreating and leaving behind the dark navy haze of nightfall. It wasn't a long walk to the next entrance over, but I don't think any of us had ever been in any other mine that wasn't our usual. As we got closer to the other entrance, we were met with the rails of minecart tracks embedded into the soil. They led directly into the mine's entrance. Anna and I shined our lights towards the wooden archway leading to the hole in the earth. "It's boarded up," she said. "Pfft," Patrick disregarded. "Those nails have to be 100 years old. I think I can handle them." "You sure, man? We can find another opening. Maybe it's boarded off for a reason." "Nah, let's not waste the time. Every mine was boarded up when they closed them. Just means no one's been in this one yet. Keep the light on it." I shined the light at the boards as he easily took them off one by one, revealing the square black abyss that was the beginning of the mine. The boards came off rather easily, and Patrick heaved them into a small pile beside the entrance. I kept my flashlight on him as he finished, admired his work, and then stared off into the dark gulf. He turned back to us. "Ladies first," he said, looking at Anna with an awkward smile. Anna sighed at him. Whether she was pretending to be brave or really was, I'll never know, but she went in first. Patrick and I followed. I don't know if any of you have ever been in a coal mine, but besides the dark, the first thing that hits you is the smell. The smell's unlike anything else I've encountered in my life. It's a fiery, rotten, dusty smell. I don't know if it's because those mines hadn't been operated in over a century, but The air almost tasted sour, too. Although it was an objectively bad smell, it was the one we got used to pretty quickly in our visits. Plus, the alcohol definitely helped us not focus on it. We walked maybe 100 feet into the mine before we settled in our spots. We took off our coats, as the inside of the mine was rather warm compared to outside. Anna took off her backpack and pulled out a blanket and a lantern. The blanket was so that we didn't have to sit on the dirty ground, and the lantern was much more convenient than a flashlight when we sat and drank. She also kept a couple extra batteries, water bottles, and a first aid kit in her backpack. We weren't stupid. We came prepared. We cracked open a couple beers and were talking about our day at school. How our parents annoyed us, how Billy was a piece of shit, etc. You know, normal stuff. We all tried to keep pace with each other when drinking. I'm not sure how it started, but if one of us finished our third beer, we'd have to wait to open the fourth with everyone. It was tradition. After we gathered enough liquid confidence to prompt this decision, and perhaps boredom was also a motivation, Patrick came up with an idea. Hey, let's go exploring a bit. We don't know the mine that well, I said. Well, let's get to know it, he countered. We didn't know our mine too well the first time we went in it, and now we know it like the back of our hand. Maybe this can be our new usual. Billy obviously doesn't know about it since it's still closed off. He had a point. Let's do it, Anna stood and put on her backpack. Fine. I turned off the lantern, placed it in her backpack, and turned on my flashlight. The others followed suit. We began walking further down the mine. Either we were too far away from the entrance, or it was now too dark outside because we couldn't see any light from the direction that we came in. The old minecart track was our guide down the narrow passageway. Do you guys hear that? Anna eventually asked while looking all around for the source of the sound. It's like a cracking noise. Yeah, I said. They do that. Do what? It's normal for mines to make crackling and popping sounds. I don't know exactly why, but I know they do it when there's a lot of pressure on top of them. This mine's lower than our usual one, and we're probably underneath one of the mountains. It's safe, though, I think. Patrick laughed. More assuring words have never been spoken. It's safe, I think. Sorry, I'm not a caving expert, ass, I shot him a jokingly angry face. I was pretty sure it was safe. I knew caves and mines cracked and popped sometimes. Still, there was a lingering thought that was consuming me. What if this whole place just collapses right now? It was the same feeling I get now as an adult when I'm high up in a skyscraper. What if this whole thing just crumbles to the ground? Mid-existential thought, we approached a fork in the road that split off in two different directions. We all stopped as we reached it and looked at each other. Right or left? I asked. Right. Left! Patrick cut her off. No, right! No, left! You two are idiots. I pulled the quarter out of my pocket. Heads for right, tails for left. I flipped the coin, caught it, and slapped it down on my forearm. They both pointed their lights at it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, Patrick taunted. How come I always lose coin tosses? I'm cursed. I know it. We traveled down the left path, and eventually the rails that were leading us stopped, but the mine continued on. I bet the right path had rails all the way down it, Anna said under her breath, but I'm not sure that Patrick heard. We stopped to open a beer because, well, why not? As we did, I realized just how dark it was. It felt darker than our regular mine somehow. I tried to shake that off immediately. I didn't want to look like a wuss. We kept moving, flashlight in one hand and warm beer in the other. These mines all connect, right? Patrick asked us. They do? I wondered aloud. I don't know, I just assumed they did. I bet at least some of them, Anna began. All of a sudden, as if to answer our question, our flashlight's beam hit the surface in front of us. It was a dirt wall. It was a dead end. Okay, never mind, this one does not connect. What is that? Patrick was quickly walking towards the end of the tunnel. What is what? I asked, trying to keep up with him. Anna followed. We stopped by Patrick's side, his flashlight pointing down at the ground to a battered piece of paper. We looked at each other in confusion. Patrick turned it over, aimed his flashlight at it, and read aloud. I'm stuck. I came here to explore. My name is Louis Ellington. If you find this, leave. Leave now. Do not hesitate. You will be trapped. Wait, Ellington? The Louis Ellington? Louis Ellington had been a fable in our town. As it goes, Louis was a boy who went in the mines one summer day. He told his parents where he was going, and they were fine with it. Back then, it was normal for the town's kids to play in the mines. He never came back. He was never seen again. No body found. No suspect in custody. He was just gone. Wow. That is one elaborate hoax, Patrick said. Hoax? Anna repeated. Are you kidding? You're holding his note. Oh, come on, Anna. Some crazy protective parent put this here. You know they made it all up, right? Our parents? She looked unconvinced. He continued. They all say, ooh, some boy went missing in these mines, to try to scare us into not sneaking out to come here. Anna looked at me for reassurance, but I was little help. I don't know, Patrick. I took the note from his hands and inspected it. I thought it was made up too, but I mean, what parent would do this? Go through the trouble of writing this and bring it all the way to the back of a mine? And then board the mine up? It doesn't make sense. He seemed stumped, but his opinion was unchanged. I stuffed the note in my back pocket. We should just go back to the blanket. Anna turned around and started walking back. We've explored enough for tonight. Let's just chill. Patrick and I agreed, and I was a little creeped out anyway. We were walking back, but something felt different. I couldn't place it at first. Not yet. Anna made a remark that it felt like we'd been walking for a while without coming to the split in the tunnel. When she said that, I noticed what was off. Where are the tracks? They both looked down to confirm my words, then at each other. The hell? Patrick said. We're going the right way, right? Anna asked. I mean, yeah. I pointed my flashlight backwards, then forwards. There's really only one of two ways to go, and we haven't reached where it split off yet. It was disconcertingly odd, but we just kind of shrugged it off and continued the way we were going. It was a long walk, seriously longer than when we came in. And strangely enough, we were all quiet about it. I knew that they knew it was strange, that something was off. I'm sure that they knew I knew too, but no one said anything. We just walked in silence. An unspoken bond of, I don't know what's going on, and I'm too afraid to ask the obvious. That was until we reached the door. We had our flashlights constantly pointed at the floor in front of us, occasionally turning them to inspect the walls or the ceiling. Anna was leading when she abruptly stopped. Guys? Patrick and I froze, our flashlights now aimed in the same direction as Anna's. A door stood in front of us, a dull, red wooden door with a brass knob. We were dumbfounded. It was so out of place, so strange. It didn't make sense. It would be like finding a mattress on the moon. It wasn't meant to be there. Anna approached it and grabbed the handle. She twisted and opened the door. Beyond the door was, to put simply, darkness. More descriptively, it was an abyss. The floor, walls, and ceiling of the mine stopped existing past the doorframe. It was a crater of nothing. We carefully approached the edge. Our flashlights, they didn't bounce off of any surface beyond that point. Up, down, side to side, there was nothing. We were looking into a hole that led to the center of the earth, or beyond. There was nothing at the end but more darkness. What is this? Anna said, sweeping her flashlight along the darkness. Maybe an elevator shaft? Patrick guessed. No, I disputed. No, we would see a wall. We would see dirt, cables, or some surface. There's nothing there. And just then, a voice came from behind us. Right behind us, inches away. I'm not sure if it was my imagination, but I swear I felt its breath on my neck. It simply said in a monotone, calm tenor, "You are mine now." We didn't turn. In fact, none of us even flinched. We stood, wide-eyed, still staring off in the distance at our beams of light, trying to reach the surface, to no avail. The only sounds I could hear were my beating heart and the mines crackling. There was something behind us. There was nothing in front of us. We stood between fight or flight, and we chose neither. We were stuck. We stood unmoved for a couple of minutes. We were frozen. We were petrified. It was like we had given up and we were just accepting our fate. I thought of asking if they'd heard the voice too, but of course they did. I knew that. They wouldn't be standing still, silent, staring off into the chasm if they didn't hear it. All of a sudden, Patrick whipped himself around to face whoever had spoken to us. I couldn't even bring myself to turn my head towards him before he gave some sort of confirmation. There's nothing there. A quiet whisper leaked from his mouth. Anna and I both turned around. "You heard it too?" she asked us. Yeah, definitely." Patrick started walking slowly away from us. "Don't go!" she yelled at him. "Where are we going to go? That way?" He pointed at the darkness beyond the open door. "We must have missed our turn or something. We have to go back." I hated it, but he was right. I tugged at Anna's sleeve in a non-verbal, "Come on, it'll be okay," and started walking after him. The mood was different after that. We were more scared, more on edge, and quieter. Each step that we took through the dark corridor mattered more than it did before. Anna and I walked behind Patrick as he led us through the mine. It was unchanging. Each wall looked the same as they did 100 feet back. There was no sign of any rails. Every step was just as indistinguishable as the last. If I wasn't sure that we were going straight, I would say that we were walking in circles. But we were going straight as an arrow. I can't accurately describe the anxiety of walking with a flashlight pointed in front of you in utter darkness, fully expecting something to just appear in front of you. Every step you take, you expect something to show up in your light. Maybe a person, maybe a dead end, maybe something so much worse, something your imagination can't even expect. All of a sudden, Patrick's silhouette from his light melted into the darkness as his light dimmed to black. Hold up, I have extra batteries." Anna swung her backpack off her shoulder. "No," Patrick said. "It's gone." I pointed my flashlight towards him. He was still facing away from us, and he was staring at his now empty hands. He turned to us. "It's gone." "What? How?" Anna stammered. She walked closer to him to inspect the ground. I don't know, it just dissolved." He looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Dissolved?" I asked. "Yeah, dissolved. It was like when your hand falls asleep, that tingly feeling, but it wasn't my hand, it was the flashlight. It tingled, I could feel it. I could feel it disintegrate." Anna and I glanced at each other. It was a look of half disbelief and half fright. "Okay," I trailed, not knowing what else to say. "Here." Anna was digging through her backpack. "Take the lantern." Patrick, still looking like he was in shock, wordlessly took the lantern and turned it on. "Cool," Anna said, obviously unnerved. "Let's get out of here." We began walking again, unsure of exactly where we were going or what we were looking for, besides an exit. The popping and crackling sounds came and went, dying off in the darkness as our steps left them behind. We walked in silence, but were cut off as Anna pointed out the obvious. The thing we all knew, but no one had said. "We're lost." "Come on, Anna," I said. "We're gonna be fine." "How can you say that? We weren't anywhere close to where we came in. We could be going the complete wrong way. Hey, Patrick interrupted. "Freaking out isn't going to help. We have to stay calm." "I just want to leave," she said, sounding like she was going to cry. And as she said it, like her wish was granted, I could see from our collective flashlight's beams that the minecart railing was right in front of us. We picked up our pace without saying a word. Not long after, the blanket we left on the floor of the mine came into view. Laying on top were a couple of empty beer cans we'd left behind. "Oh, thank Christ!" Patrick exclaimed. We all began running faster and trotted over the blanket, not looking back. We didn't want to waste a second. I could see it. I could see the moonlit aura coming from the mine's entrance. The first natural light I'd seen in hours. I was practically in an all-out sprint to get there. All I could think was how badly I wanted to take in a deep breath of the cool, fresh air outside. I passed Patrick and left Anna in the dust. I was running as fast as I could. My arms and legs flailed like I was running for my life. I could hear them running behind me. I left the warm, stale air from the mine behind as a wall of brisk, refreshing air hit my face. I was out. I swear I could feel the light from the moon drip over my skin. I dropped to my knees and caught my breath. The only thing running through my head was how thankful I was to be out of there. But then another thought intruded itself to the forefront of my mind. Where were my friends? I turned back to the mine, and they were not there. No. Not only that, it was boarded up. The ancient nails and wood lined the mine's entrance, the same entrance I had just run out of. I stood and shouted through the wood panels, "Patrick! Anna!" I heard nothing. I saw no flashlights through the cracks in the wood. I heard no voices. They were not there. I was alone. Anna Dawn Newman and Patrick J. Drummer went missing on October 4th, 2002, and were never seen again. They were my best friends. I miss them every day. I contacted the police that night, and the search began around 4 a.m. I went back to the mine with them to show them which one it was. They pried the boards off to reveal a tunnel that lasted about 20 feet. They told me I must have led them to the wrong one. I didn't. There was no blanket, no beer cans, no flashlight, no lantern, no Anna, no Patrick. There was only 20 feet of dirt and rail. They searched the other mines nearby, but it didn't matter. They weren't found. It keeps me up at night. I wonder if I'm the reason they never got out. What if I hadn't passed Patrick when I ran out? Would I be missing? Where are they? Are they dead? I don't know, and I never will. Maybe I don't want to know. It's been almost 17 years since that night, and I hardly understand anything about what happened. To be honest, I hope that mine collapsed and killed them. I know that's gruesome, but it puts my mind at ease to think that. Although, I know it's unlikely that that's what happened. What bothers me most is the alternative to that. The words that Louis Ellington had written on that paper. I still have it today. It's the only evidence that I was really in there. You will be trapped, he wrote. That's what troubles me. The idea that they were endlessly searching for an exit, that they were trapped there. Or worst of all, that they still are.